始まってしまいましたか。皆さんどうもこんばんは。君より夜空のゲーム配信の時間なのです。ちょっと遅れてしまいましたね。こんばんは。なんかすごくお腹が痛くて。はいどうもこんばんは。ようこそいらっしゃいました。のんびりしていってくださいね。お久しぶりでございます。今日はね、新しいゲームをやっていこうと思いますんで、よろしくお願いします。ちょっと待ってください。私の眉毛ってこんなだったっけ？いや、こんなだったか。こんなでしたわ。なんか、バグってるんかと思った。気にせず気にせず。今日もゲームしていきましょう。ちょっと待ってくださいね。まだ初回起動もまだなんですよね。起動が遅い。起動しなかったらどうしよう。起動した。あとは音をキャプチャーすれば OK と。これで大丈夫なはず。やっていきましょう。日本語ですね。前回プレイしたかどうか。いいえ。これでもギリギリ見えるんですけど。これぐらいにしておこうかな。あんまり暗くなって怖くても嫌だし。今の時刻 なんでむむむ。21時52分51分か。なんで必要なんだろう。コントローラーも使えるんですか。コントローラーでやろうかな。ちょっとお待ちください。てっきりキーボード、マウスのみかと思っておりましたが、動かない。何なのだ。なんだこのゲームは。私も詳しくは分かっておりません。でもナレーターがいて、私はこのゲームの主人公になってナレーターの指示に従っていくみたいな、そういうゲームらしいです。あらお、久しぶり。良い新年をお過ごしください。ちょっと遅くね。でも確かに今年は初めてかもしれませんね。よろしくお願いします。いつもありがとね。アンチエイリアスはちょっと低めに。ふむ。やっぱりキーボード、マウスでいいか。ではよろしくお願いします。対戦よろしくお願いします。大変なのかな。ホラーではないです。多分ね。ゲームのどこかにそういう要素はあるかもぐらいですかね。前回私の知り合いにいろいろゲームを選んでもらった。それでこのゲーム以外はやったんですけど、配信でね。
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
長いのでやらなかったんですよ。
Stanley
こ
worked
れ
for
は
a
ね、
company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee
Stanley.
number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard.
いいよ。
Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk,
い
telling
る
him
よ。
what buttons to
ネ
push,
ットの中
how
に。
long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy.
単調作
And
業
then
の
one
申し
day,
子。
something very peculiar happened.
スタンリー。
Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him
1時間してから気づくのか。遅くない。
Hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened. This complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time.
不穏だね。
But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
動ける。ちょっと待って。これめちゃくちゃ良いやつだね。酔うやつじゃない。屋根がかかる。嫌な予感がする。待ってくれ。その友達は私が。ああ。ホラーが苦手なことは知ってる。用意することは言ったっけ？言ってないかもしれない。
All of his co-workers were gone.
大丈夫。
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
昔は酔わない。試合。酔ったりしない。大丈夫。いける。自己暗示。
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his
予定
co-workers.
時間より早い。だと。最初の予定時間は
Stanley
時
was
間前
around
ですか
touching
らね。
every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single
ボスが
difference. Nor did it advance
す
the
ごいこれ。
story in any way.
私がやってることに対してナレーターがついてくる。それでどっか行ったのか。どう見ても仕事の途中ですけど。怖いのですか？めちゃくちゃ古いコンピューター。ぽいですね。多分怖くはないと思います。構想だったとしても。多分大したものではないはず。帰れない。もう帰ろうぜ。ダメか。いい風景です。スタンリーは喜びました。パソコンの電源を落とせる。ちなみにサービス残量ですよ。どう見ても仕事中っぽいけど。戻ってきたらいきなりパソコンの電源落ちてたら、私なら発表しますけどね。もしかしたら30時間分の仕事の途中かもしれない。スタンリーはそういうことを考えませんでした。なかなかいいセンスの絵画ですね。なんか既視感。
When When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
帰らせてくれ。待って。今、どっち吸った。後ろのドアが閉まったことにびっくりしすぎて、聞いてなかったんだけど。窓か。窓、開かないが。クラブカが言ってたのは何だっけ？右手の法則。飛び降り防止か。右から行けばいいか。ちょっとちょっと。なんか逆だった。ぽいぞ。でもナレーターさんのついてきてくれますね。ナレーターさんが合わせてくれるんだったら、7番出口を探すのか。別に何してもよくね。
Just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
確かに素晴らしい部屋だ。
Yes, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
夜の終わりみたいにナレーターが行動を制限してくるタイプの黒幕かも。
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
小型のシールとか、ほら、小型だシールートですね。
He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now, in order to get back, he needed to go, from here, it's, left.
左。ナレーターさんを困らせてしまっている。
No, it's to the right, my mistake.
しょうがないな。
No, not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking? It's clearly...
おいおい。
Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute?
しっかりしてくれよ。
Now, let's see.
間に合う。
Right,
解かないの。
down, left, right. Yep, okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
OK。何かあれですね。TRPG のゲームマスターっぽい感じ。
No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley.
いやいやいやいや。
Okay. We just have to get back to, oh, who am I kidding?
お前がここに連れてきたんですよ。
Completely unusable. How about rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, hmm? Okay, from the top.
戻された。よく見たら、スタンリーのパソコンは他のやつらと違うな。
All of his co-workers
ハー
were
ドド
gone.
ライブ
What could it mean?
義足が4枚
Stanley
ぐらい
decided
入
to
っ
go to
て
the
そう
meeting
な
room. Perhaps he
大
had
型
simply
だ。
missed a memo.
ああ、いつも通りパソコンの電源は全部消して他の同僚の業務を邪魔しておく。そうすればね、
When Stanley... Wait.
私の業績が一番大きくなり
No,
ま
I
すから。
restarted. I swear I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be... Oh, did something change? Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors? Did you move the
書
story
いてない
somewhere
よ。
or... Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here somewhere. Okay then. It's an
ちょっ
adventure.
とちょっと、
Come, Stanley. Let's find the story.
マジか。こいつ。ここ気になるな。ダメか。後ろに行こうぜ。後ろ。よし。目をつぶる。マウスを回して。
I'll say it. This is the
ここ。
worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you
後
there
ろちゃん。
definitely was a story here before. Do we need to restart the game again? Well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by
ここ
starting
に
over
決
and
め
over
た。
again, but it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not?
つながってんじゃん。ああ。また戻されたよ。
All of his co-workers were gone.
もうしっかり
What
し
could
て
it
くだ
mean?
さい。
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
RTA みたいになっちゃうじゃん。
Okay, yep, it's worse. I might be remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back
おいおい、
the other direction
戻して。
and see if we missed anything?
私はここから出してくれ。こんなのあったっけ？まあいいや。
Aha! I knew we'd miss something. The story.
道
Here
が
it
変わっ
comes.
てる。
No, wait, never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our steps.
ナヒーダさん。ナヒダじゃない。あれ。雰囲気がちょっと。
Now this...
ホラ
I'll
ー
be
ゲーム
honest,
じ
I
ゃ
don't
ないよ
recognize
な。
this place at all. Is this the story? I don't think so. I can't quite recall, but I believe my story took place in an office building. Is that correct? Do you remember, Stanley? Well, do you know what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to
Yeah.
be doing, how about this? You win!
私、
Congratulations!
初め
I
て
know you put in a lot of
プレイ
hard
し
work,
てるん
and
で、
it really paid off.
わ
So,
かんないで
good
すね。
job.
いやいや待って。
Oh
待っ
no.
て。
No, I don't feel right about this at all. We both know you didn't put in any
そう
actual
だよ。
work for that win. Some people win fair and
お前の
square,
勝ち。
and this was not one of those situations. Okay, I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time. I have to restart. All right, I've got a solution. This time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've
僕の
employed the
思いが
help
届い
of
た
the
のだ。
Stanley Parable
わかり。
Adventure Line. Just follow the line. How simple is that?
やったぜ。これで迷うことはない。あれ。 食べに行くか。おい、遊んでるやついる。これやってるの、小学生以外、見たことないぞ。ソリティアニートいる。
You see, the line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny. Though, here's a thought.
いいね。
Wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there. Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story? Simply by the act of moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Okay, Stanley, I need to follow this train of thought for a minute.
アグレッシブな誘導ないん
Now
だ
we
な。
can both agree that the nature of existence is in fact a byproduct of one's subjective experience of that existence, right? Okay. Now, if my experience of your existence rests inside of your
負けてる
subjective
時の開示く
experience
らい
of
に
this
切れて
office,
る。
is this
夜
office
空
in
ちゃん挨
fact
拶
the
した。
skeleton of my own relative experiential mental subjective construct? Whoa, 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 whoa. Hang on. That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize. Not sure where I was going with
よ
all
うこ
that.
そいらっしゃい
You
ま
know
した。
what? I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood.
気づかんかった。びっくりした。うるせえ。壮大な音楽。冒険だ。この曲ありなら全然怖くないわ。
Wait, cut the music, go back and look at that fern. Stanley, this fern will be very important later in the story. Make sure you study it closely and remember it
シダっ
carefully.
て何？
You won't want to miss anything.
下植物。あれ、違う。どれですか？これ。これが重要なの。ここ。室内で育成するにはちょっと多くすぎる気がしますね。これでいいかな。
Wait, what? We're back at the office? No, no. Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley parable, right? The story? Is
夜
any
空
of
ちゃ
this
んマヨ
ringing
ネ
a
ーズか
bell?
けて食べていい。ダメだよ。
Oh, no,
また
no,
こ
no,
こじゃ
no, not again, Line. How could you have done this to us? And after we trusted you, after everything we've been through, you...
ダメ
No,
じゃ
I
ん。
can't take this
この
anymore. To hell with it.
Line.
Restart. You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for
ちょくちょく解雇
us?
されてる
We're
ね。
intelligent people, right? Why can't we make up our own story? Something exciting, daring, mysterious. Oh,
なるほ
this
ど。
all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in... Well,
ス
I
トー
don't
リー
know.
に従っているだけではいけないと。それ、ナレーターが言っていいんですか？
Now, yes, this is exciting. Just me and Stanley forging a new path.
なんだか
a new
ゲーム
story.
の
Well, it
時
could be
代、
anything. What do you
輪っ
want
か
our
になった
story to
気分で
be?
すね。
Go wild.
で、
Use your imagination.
ばっか。
Whatever it might be, Stanley, I'm ready for it.
多い。ああ、よかった。
壁の中にいる。
Oh no, not you again. Stanley, I'd also like to veto the line from having any
す
role
ごい
in
とこ
our
から来
awesome
て
new
る。
story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it, and we should be fine. Ah, a choice. We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control. How important we mustn't squander the opportunity.
いいね。
In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute. Okay, so I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere at the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley, our destiny awaits.
ナレーターさんがそう言うなら。
Oh, hold up, what's this? The confusion ending.
わ
You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game, what, eight times? That's really how all this goes? It's all determined?
やだ。
So now, according to the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget?
お、死ぬ。
Well, what if I don't want to forget? My mind goes blank simply because it's written here on this thing, wall. Well, who consulted me? Why don't I get to decide? Why don't I get a say in all of this? Is it really? No, it can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it. And the timer stopped? Does that mean, did we do it? Did we break the cycle? The, whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we even know? Will someone come for us? Will something happen? So, okay.
私の勝ち。です
I
が、
guess now we just wait. You know, I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story, wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey, though they're always saying that life is about the journey
ソニーを
and
放
not the
棄したと
destination.
き、
So I hope that's where we are right
ストー
now.
リーを放棄
We'll
した
find
と
out,
き、
won't we?
ウィン。
Eventually. Well, in the meantime, if you
そこはまだ、ストーリーの中なのか。今ここが、ただ、本当にストーリーがリセットされた場所なのか。混乱、エンドとかいう
all
や
his
つの
co-workers were gone,
真っ只
what could
中
it mean?
なのか。
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room.
わからない。
Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
マヨネーズと合うなのだ。
ナレーターはリセットを忘れている。確か、
When
この
Stanley
後
came
は
to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
私が総理の通りに進めようとしても、 阻止されるだったっけ。黄色い矢印に伝えなければ、あれさえいなければ大丈夫なはず。普通に正規ルートに戻ってるのかな。これ上の階 OK。 ちょっと従ってみましょうか。
Stepping into his manager's office,
怖い
Stanley
で
was
す
once
し、
again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him.
上の
What he
本
could not have known
取れ
was
な
that
い
the
よ。
keypad behind the
これ
boss's desk guarded the terrible
はし
truth
ご
that his
来
boss
な
had
い
been
し、
keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
おいおい、言うんじゃないよ。危ない危ない。
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the
笑顔に
combination
なっ
was
てないなのだ。
2845. $2845.
いや、私はナレーターに従ってるだけだから。だってスターリンが白くないんでしょ。スタンリーは知らないって言ったじゃん。
Forgot, but it turns out that the panel's emergency override kicked in, and the door just opened all by itself, and Stanley got the hell along with the story. Well, whoop-de-doo.
進めてこと。大丈夫これ。ちょくちょく怖いんだけど。行きます。床があった。
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Escape. 長崎混乱エンドで しかない。
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
さっき来たよ。さっきやってみたじゃん。
夜空ちゃんって結構ビビり。
何を今さら。
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
これが正規ルートか。私の部屋もある。
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation.
もしか
Controls
したら
labeled
私
with
の今の
emotions.
人生も
Happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he
上位
would
存在に
dismantle
操
the
作されてる
controls
可能
once
性もある
and
わけだ。
for all.
それに気づき、さえしなければ何も問題はないわけですけど。何これ。番号の順に押せばいいのかな。1、2、3、4、4はどこだ。あれか。いけない。むむむ。雰囲気は怖いけど。でも、敵がいないからまだいいかも。よくわかんないけど先に進もう。
And when at
システム
last he
パワ
found
ー。
the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
あばよ。暗い。
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes! He had won! He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door. Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
"そして帰ってきた。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to
あ
the
れで
meeting
2
room.
つのストー
Perhaps
リ
he
ー
had
が
something
多いっ
Mr.
てこと
Mama.
か。終わりか。
When Stanley came to a
と
set
いう
of
こ
two
とは
open doors,
混
he
乱
entered the door on his
エン
left.
ドはあれで終わりなのかな。
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first,
混
just
乱
to admire it.
エンドの付近
Wow.
もうちょっと
Yes,
探ってみま
this
しょうか。
room. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
こっちはどうなるのかな。
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
すげえ。バカにされてる。私をバカにしやがった。こうなれば、とことん、逆らってみるか。
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful.
めっちゃキレてる。
Let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance.
どうすればいいかな。こっち。デンジャー。OK。危険。上等です。
Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door. Aha, perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door. I still don't think we're communicating properly. Stanley walked through the red door.
8時間。血が赤くなってる。
All right, fine. Go ahead, Stanley. You want to know so badly what's out there? You want to find out what lies at the end of this road you've chosen? Well, don't let me stop you.
いいね。
You see? There's nothing here. I haven't even finished building this section of the map because you were never supposed to be here in the first place. Broken rooms, exposed developer textures. Is this what you had wanted? Was it worth ruining the entire story I had written out specifically for you? Do you not think I put a lot of time into that? Because I did. And in the end, it was all for nothing. Because this is what you wanted to see. Help me here, Stanley. Help elucidate these strange and unknowable desires of yours. What would have made this game better?
すごい怒っ
What
て
did
る。
you want to see?
ごめん
Vehicles?
て。
Skill trees? Work with me. You've given me absolutely nothing so far. Tell you what. Let me take a stab in the dark at a new design and you can give me some feedback.
新デザイン。
There we go. A third option. This already feels leaps ahead of where we were before. Go ahead, Stanley. Take it for a spin.
ちょっと。テクスチャー。バグってますけど。
Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Now, tell me about your experience with this new version. Would you say that the game benefited from allowing you more choices? Feel free to be honest. I'm looking for some real critical feedback here. Aha!
真ん
You
中。
see, I knew I was onto
満足。
something. Where do these flashes of inspiration come from? How did I know the game needed a third door? Well, it's instinct mostly, a calling in your gut. I really couldn't say where the idea came from, except that I felt it in my soul. You can't teach that,
そう
Stanley.
だよ。
Don't even try. Here, based on the data from your
もっ
previous
と
playthrough,
新
I've
しいもの。
compiled a new version.
くれ。
And to be perfectly candid, I think I've knocked it out of the park with this one. Let's take a look.
「私は最低だってよ。」
Now, would you say that competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep walking through doors? Again, honest answers, please.
リーダーボード。多分これはあれですね。何でもかんでも追加すればいいってわけじゃないって言わせたいと思うんですけど。満足。
Hey, I nearly forgot. I've got a prototype of a new game I've been working on, and now would be a lovely opportunity to give it some playtesting. You wouldn't mind taking a look at it, would you? Perfect. Let me boot it up. In this game, the baby crawls left towards danger. You click the button to move him back to the right, and if he reaches the fire, you fail. It's a very meaningful game, all about the desperation and tedium of endlessly confronting the demands of family
なるほど。
life. I think the art world will really take notice. But of course, the message of the game only becomes clear once you've been
ゲーム
playing
な
it
ら
for
満
about
足
4
です。
hours. So why don't you give it 4 hours
4
of
時
play
間。
to make sure it's effective? Be sure to keep notes on your experience.
4時間したらメッセージ。うるさい。ちょっとうるさい。やばい。これマジで意味がやられる。
You heartless bastard. Did you do it because you hate babies or purely to spite me? Because if it's the latter, well, I don't know what to do. I'm completely out of ideas. I can't think of a single thing that might improve the experience for me. I'm not even going to try. I'm out.
よくしてください。
It's over. Thank you for playing. Your input was extremely valuable. Oh, hey, since my game was so awful, why don't we play someone else's game? Just to ease the pain. Let's see. What do we have here? Yes. This seems like it'll work. Let's give it a shot.
マリオ。
Aha! Fascinating. What do you think this game is about, Stanley?
これハンターじゃない。
What is our motivation? Well, it seems obvious to me that you are meant to play as a creepy man spying on innocent civilians below you from up high in your creep tower, perhaps for some sort of twisted erotic purpose. Yes, that must be it. What a fascinating venture into the experience of total mental depravity. So far, I love everything about this game, Stanley. And it seems there's even more. Come, let's venture outward and see what else is out there.
Joe Cool. いいね。このゲーム。オフィスの中よりは開放的です。
Oh no. No, it can't be. It is. It's an open world game. Good God, quickly block it off. Oh, thank goodness, Stanley. What a close call. You nearly wandered off into that thing, that big open, just wandering around, no right or wrong directions, no path to follow. You can just go in any...
それが
Oh,
いいじゃん。
thank heavens we avoided it. We're out of the woods now, Stanley. Okay, I'm going to get us
木を
out of
登れ
here.
る。
Let's find another game. Preferably something with walls. Something with nice, big, insurmountable walls.
この火を使えばいけるかな。
This will be just the thing.
こいつは登れない。立畜生。
Wonderful. See, this is exactly what I had in mind. Just a nice big box for you to run around in. There isn't any possibility
これなん
that you
か
could get lost here. Now this
これ見た
is
ことあ
game
るぞ。
design. Stanley, if you manage to get lost in this game, I will be phenomenally impressed.
これ、車を使ってサッカーするやつじゃないの。
Okay, so what exactly do we do here? Let's see. There are lots of cars here in the back, but obviously there's no racetrack. Okay, I'm seeing that there's a ball of some kind back here. Is this game sports ball? Stanley, I think it's sports ball. Oh, what fun. We shall run the bases and do a touchdown together. Yes, I think surely we must. Okay, Stanley, here's the ball. Have fun.
あお。いいね。見た目より軽いんですね。
Are you doing it? Are you winning? Is this fun? Is it better than my miserable little story that I worked so hard on? Stanley, I have a thought. And I realize I'm not a sportsologist, but if one ball... Hold on. What are you doing? Stanley, don't do that. I can't follow you there. I can't help you. How will you write a story without me? You can't do it. You know that. Stanley, come back.
ナレーターさんが いなくなっちゃった。テクスチャの穴が
ただいま。
いっぱいある。おかえりなさい。どこに行けばいいんだ、アーカイ。何もない。
I wonder what he found. If what he wanted was to be the leading man in his own story, well, perhaps he's gotten it, down in wherever he is right now. I wonder if he's happy with his choice, and if he's learned the heavy cost that comes with it. He'll understand soon what I was trying to tell him. He needs me. Someone who will wrap everything up at the end, to make sense out of the chaos and the fear and the confusion. That's who I am. That is what I mean to this world. Oh, yes. Yes, I'll be back. There's no other way. Once this ends, after it all comes to a close, then I'll be back. The end will be here soon. Very soon. I can wait.
逆らい続けた結果、またここか。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well.
はちゃめちゃに違う方向に行ってしまいましたね。もしかして、めちゃくちゃあるのかな、エンディング。
Eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
ここで飛び降りないでみ
I
る
think
か。
perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her. This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
彼女とは
That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this. To reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith in another, then pick up the phone. As Stanley picked up the phone, a white light engulfed him, filling him not just with radiance, but with hope. Hope for a life reunited one... Wait. Oh, goodness. Stanley, did you just unplug the phone? No, that wasn't supposed to be a choice. How did you do that? You actually...
ごめん、ちょっと怖くて。
I didn't even know that was possible. Let me double check. No, it's definitely here, clear as day. Stanley picks up the phone. He's taken to his apartment where he finds his wife, and the two pledge themselves to one another. Music comes in, fade to white, roll credits. Not picking up the phone is actually somehow an incorrect course of action. How is that even possible? None of these decisions were supposed to mean anything. I don't understand. How on earth are you making meaningful choices? What did you... Wait a second. Did I just see... No, that's not possible. I can't believe it. How had I not noticed it sooner? You're not Stanley. You're a real person. I can't believe I was so mistaken. This is why you've been able to make correct and incorrect choices, and to think I've been letting you run around in this game for so long. If you'd made any more wrong choices, you might have negated it entirely. It's as though you completely ignored even this basic safety protocol for real-world decision-making. Or did you not grasp the severity of the situation? Well, I won't have that kind of risk on my watch. I'm going to stop the game for a moment so we can educate you properly on safe decision-making in the real world. Please observe this helpful instructional video.
Choice. It's the best part of being a real person. But if used incorrectly, can also be the most dangerous. For example, in this scenario, a hypothetical real person named Rupert has a choice. He could invent a machine that eliminates food shortages across the world to make life better for all people. Or he could spend years of hard work forgetting how to read. Which choice would you make? Remember that unlike here, the real world makes sense, and at no time should you make a choice that does not conform to rational logic. If you find yourself speaking with a person who does not make sense, in all likelihood, that person is not real. Allow the person to finish their thought, then provide an excuse why you cannot continue talking. Turn to a partner and practice saying, "My goodness, is it 4:30? I'm supposed to be having a back, sack, and crack." Excellent. Making choices on a regular basis is the best part to a healthy decision-making process. Most medical professionals recommend making at least 8 choices per day. Do you make more than 8? Less? And finally, if you begin to wonder if your choices are actually meaningful and whether you'll ever make a significant contribution to the world, just remember that in the vast infiniteness of space, your thoughts and problems are materially insignificant, and the feeling should subside. At this time, your instructor will guide you in an exercise to test and reinforce the material covered in this video.
Welcome back. You may have noticed that this room has begun to deteriorate as a result of narrative contradiction. But not to worry. Now that you're properly informed on good decision-making, we're going to revisit a choice you made just a few minutes ago and see what the correct thing to do would have been. This way, please.
私が変な選択をしたから壊れかけているってこと。世界は私の選択は世界を変えているということ。
Now that we know your choices are meaningful, we can't have you jumping off the platform and dying. Imagine the main character dying senselessly halfway through the story. That story would make no sense at all. We just need to get you home as soon as possible before the narrative contradiction gets any worse. Unfortunately, it seems this place is not well equipped to deal with reality.
無理なのか。対策済み。さっきまではこんなのなかったのに。しょうがないな。
Almost there. You'll take the door on the left, back to the correct ending, the story will have resolution once again, and you'll be home free in the real world.
OK。
Now remember,
正しい選択
all you
ね。
need to do is behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. どっちも見たいな。 No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back in the other direction. Perhaps we're not too late.
ちょっとマジでヤバそう。従っておくか。怖いの嫌です。
Oh, it's ruined. I can't believe after everything we talked about that my story, you've destroyed my work. Why? For what?
ごめん。
What did you get out of that? What did you think was so special about seeing the game undone, left here like so much garbage? It's worthless now. And what am I supposed to do? Even if there were a way to continue, would it be worth it? To know that my story is now incorrect? How can I go back to that? I can't erase that knowledge. I'll have to live with it forever, reliving its impossibility forever. I couldn't live that way. Is it better to shut the game down entirely? To willingly destroy all of my work? I don't know. What's the answer? What do I do? What do I do? What do I... No, I have to. I have to shut the game down. I have to. I have to.
ちょっとやだ。止めて。
I'm here. I'm still here. Here in this pile of rubbish. With you. You.
出して。
Who thought you were so clever. Now look where we are. My entire game is destroyed. It was the only thing in the world that was mine, and you've run it into the ground. What, did you think that would be funny? You just had to see? Didn't I impress upon you how important it was to be like Stanley? He actually knows how to do what I tell him to. He understands that if I say to do something, there's a damn good reason for it. That thought hadn't even occurred to you, had it? That there's a world outside of you? You're a child. Oh, my story. If you'd just gone through the door on the left, you would have seen it. There was a whole underground facility. You would have destroyed it and been victorious. It would have been so perfect. I worked so hard on it. I tried so hard to make... ...behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
ママ、どうもです。
No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back. Behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back. Behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
爆速でしまってくさ。
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find him. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
あれ、ここ、 下の階段、なかったっけ？まだ行ったことないけど。選択肢が潰されているのかな。ほらこっちも。なんか休憩室
先回り
みたいな
されてて
看板あったよね。まだ行ったことなかったけど変わってる。こんなお部屋じゃなかった。ドアを閉めるのやめてくれ。マジでびっくりするんです。
Until he saw the door with a voice receiver next to it. Surely behind this door lay all the answers to his questions. And beyond all probability, he knew the passcode. He had seen it on his boss's computer just last week. Nightshark 115. Was this the code to open the door? Would it still work? There was only one way to find out. Stanley had been trained never to speak up, but now he would draw from within himself the courage to face the unknown. He drew a sharp breath and then spoke the code. Stanley spoke the code. Nightshark 115. He spoke it into the receiver right there on the wall.
115。ちょっと遠いかな。
I'm sorry, is there a problem? You didn't mishear me, did you? Please speak the code into the receiver. Otherwise we can't get on with the story. This is a crucial step. Okay, fine, you're not gonna do it, but you know what?
ここでも逆らえるのか。
It's humiliating to bring you this far, only for you to suddenly decide you have better things to do. I asked you for this one single thing, for your respect. The kind of respect Stanley shows for his choices. He knows what it means to take a story seriously. If you didn't want to see what I had to show you, then why did you come here? You had a choice, you know. You could have gone through the door on the right. You could have done whatever the hell you wanted over there. Why did you come this way? Speak. Say something to me. Explain yourself, you coward. You... When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left. Stanley? Hello? Are you... Is everything okay? Stanley, please. I need you to make a choice. I need you to walk through the door. Are you listening to me? Can you hear me? Is everything all right? Stanley, this is important. The story needs you. It needs you to make a decision. It cannot exist without you. You understand me? Whatever choice you make is just fine. They're both correct. You cannot be wrong here. We can work together. I'll accept whatever you do. I simply need you to take that step forward, please. Choose.
選択しないという選択。
Anything. This is more important than you can ever know. I need this. The story needs it. So, you hear me? Are you there? Are you listening to this? Stanley, are you there? Okay. It's okay, I can wait. You need time to decide. Time to make sure your choice is correct. That is the best choice. That's all right. I'll wait for you to decide what's the right thing to do. Take as much time as you need. Stanley decided to go to the meeting room to check on his coworkers.
ナレーターさんがかわいそうになってきた。
And constantly needed support and guidance from others, so the thought of total solitude was terrifying to him. When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well.
それはそれとして、すべての選択肢を試さないと満足できないのですよね。あっちゃん、まあ、置いといて。いや、まだあったか。このさん、多分飛び降りられるんですよね。
Stanley left from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
死んだ。
I can't wait to tell this story to my co-workers, Stanley thought. How amusing they'll find it.
飛び降り防止のしがらみができてたから。飛び降りられるんだなって思ったんですけど。なるほど、死ぬのか。
犯人は左下に。
いないよ。
Stanley felt lightheaded, butterflies in his stomach. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
優越してそう。
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley.
もう一回あのムービー、みんな見ないといけないのかな。これ、選択に対するムービー。なるべく好きでいきましょう。焚き木でいく。そういえばこれ撮ってないな。まぶしい。眩しい。
Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Gotcha. Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here.
何ってことを。
Sorry, but you're in my story now.
むむむ。
This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley. Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence. Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now
さないと進まないのか。
Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life. But in his mind, he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful, and each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him. And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly. So he went further. He imagined that he came to two open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold.
ちゃんと理由があって、ボタンを押してるけど。
As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths
私のための
and
ボタンじゃない。
Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in
じゃあ私は何のためにボタンを押してるんだ。
And he called it the Stanley Parable. It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time. But there is no answer. How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed.
嫌だ。
The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one. And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
押してはいけない。押さなかったらどうなるの？他のどのキーを押しても反応しない。押すしかないのか。
You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself? I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried.
このゲーム、怖いよ。普通に怖いよ、このゲーム。
All of his co-workers were gone.
なんで
What could it mean?
私にこのゲームを
Stanley decided to
勧
go
め
to the
たん
meeting
だ。
room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
タブにホラーってありましたからね。
Oh, new content? What does that mean, new content?
私が知りたい。新コンテンツって何ですか？ カちゃんを助けるゲームじゃないよな。あれは嫌だよ。
Hello, and thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home
面白い
computers.
ゲームを進めるのは何もおかしいこ
After
とはない
receiving
ですよ
critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe
前
features
作があるん
exciting
だ。
new content that
一応
broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over. Please step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Oh, well, this sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content. Okay, so far it's an elevator.
細かくしちゃう。
Not special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure. Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere or... Oh, there we go. All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it. I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if Oh, okay. Let's see the content. Gimme the content, Stanley. All right. All right, let's see. It's the jump circle?
ジャンプサークル。やった。ジャンプできるぞ。できない。できる。この中だけ。しょうもな。
Is that
頑張
it?
りな。
Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else, right? Goodness. Another elevator. Stanley, I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not
そうだね。
It's just elevators and jumping.
私もそう思います。
Exciting new content? If this is new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could count to 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And oh, wait. There's more. Very good. Yes. I knew there had to be something else. Let's see it. I'm ready for whatever it is.
次はないかな。
That's it? Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You see, Stanley? This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap
あり
expansion
がとう、
to market
新し
for
いコン
no
テンツ
reason
を
other
遊ん
than
で
to
く
make
れ。
an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the
ちょっ
game's
とマジ。
achievements, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, Test achievement, please ignore. What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still
確かに
with me, why don't we just
ウルトラデラ
reset
ッ
the
クス
game and we'll
な
try
ん
to
て
get
名
back
前
to
なら
what the Stanley
もっと期
Parable
待
is
しちゃう
really
よな。
about. No frills, no gimmicks. Just you and me having a great time together like always. What do you say, friend?
あれ。
Psst. Stanley, come over here. In the vent. I want to show you something.
いいね。
Okay, you remember how cheap
こう
and
いう秘密
unsatisfying
の
the
通
new
路。
ultra deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past and how
大
much
好
better
き。
the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a look.
いいね。
I call it the Memory Zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak
やればできる
experiences
じ
of
ゃん。
my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC. You see, Stanley, doesn't the Memory Zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap re-release?
かなり
Remember
あれ
back
です
in
ね。
October of 2013, when the
外
game
国リ
originally
ア。
launched. Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something. Oh, the waste.
「昔を美化してしまうのはどの世代も同じ」。
ファイアフォックス。サウンドトラックまで出てたのか。果たして初代のあれなのかな。オープニングムービーとかなのかもしれん。これは最初のやつらのアチーブメントかな。小さいスタンリー。
まるで
かわいいね。
墓ですな。
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism, 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim, it was Persona 3, it was all of them, and now it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content.
余計なものを追加してはダ作になってしまうと。なるほど。何これ。
Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. It just needed to be left alone, to spend the rest of time collecting dust in the hallowed hall of beloved video game memories. These were simpler times, Stanley. But I wouldn't give to go back, to have it all over again. Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here? Oh no. Oh God, no. Stanley, it's a collection of reviews from Steam, the online video game distributor. I haven't looked at these in years. I can't even imagine what's been collecting down here. Surely these reviews were glowing as well, weren't they? Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny! I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
Letter review. もしもし、この中全部バッド。レビューか。チームからベビーを届いてんじゃん。もしかして、バッド、レビューだけここに集めて捨てて、グッドだけ読んでたの。グッドもあるな。
Okay, let's see what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley? I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. I always, well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did. But maybe it wasn't. Oh dear. What an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks on my otherwise unimpeachable track record. I feel like a failure. Like I let these people down. Perhaps the Stanley Parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered.
いい思い出だけじゃなかった。
What's this one got to say? You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button. A skip button? Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have.
本当にいいの。あら。
And here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. I'll pop you forward in time so that the second my incessant droning starts to bore you, with just the push of a button, you'll have zipped right past it. It's what the players have been asking for, and I'm very proud to have delivered. No more listening to me rambling on and on and on. No. The Stanley Parable is a game for the people. And if the people want science, then by goodness, that's what they're going to do. Well, don't sit around waiting for me to shut up. Go ahead and make me shut up. Here.
このナレーターさんは私が返事までもないまま。
And it goes something like this. The story and the choices
ずっと喋り続けるってことでしょ。
by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably we all until
ちょっ
the
と
end
かわい
of
そう
time,
だけど
at
な
which
それ。
time everything all at once. So now you see, blah 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 blah. We've eaten too much and it can't be
ここ
just
何？
yet. No, until 245.
何もない。
But the logic of elimination working backwards, the deduction therefore becomes impossible to manufacture. It went on for nearly 10,000 years until just yesterday, here and there, forward and back, and never a moment before
私もよく独り言をベラベラベラベラと喋ることはありますけど、
until so much more than forever ago, which is why I
もし
say
リスナーさんの皆様方がね、ここら辺にスキップボタンがあったら、私のお知らせの間にそれをして、ポチッと押して、動画の10分先まで飛んでたりしたら、私はそれはすごく悲しいと思うんですよね。なんでこういうスキップボタンだが、スキップボタンとか私あんまり不定的と言えざるを得ません。このナレーターの鳩みたいに無限に話題があるわけじゃないけど、やっぱり私が話している以上、少なくとも誰かに語りかけてるわけで、もし今視聴者数がねゼロだったとしても、いつか誰かがあそこの動画をねフラインとか後で再生して書くことだろうかもしれないわけじゃん。そうなったらスキップボタンって悲しいと思うんですよね。うるせえこいつ。
Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal flourishes and lengthy ruminations on the nature of choice in video games. Of course, I happen to believe it was perhaps
私の配信にもつけようかな。
Well there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption, it's right at your fingertips to go poof. It's all over. Oh, I can't wait to see what Cookie 9 will say about this, and whether they'll edit the rating of their Steam review, or if they change some of the wording, perhaps. To be honest, I don't even know if one can change their review in the first place. I guess I should become better educated on exactly how. Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45 minutes? It's not unendurable by any means, but it's, well, there's really only so much I can ramble on to myself about. I know, it's shocking, isn't it? But at any rate, I do suggest that we not press the button again. I think the skip has been aptly demonstrated, and we can say goodbye to it and just... Wait. How do we get out of here? Where did the door go? Wasn't there a door that led into this room? I do feel quite certain that there was one here before. How else would we have gotten into the room in the first place? I don't think one can enter a room without a door of some sort, or a window or something like that. Do you see a window anywhere? A porthole? A sufficiently large crack in the wall? I'll take any of these. All I want is for us to move on and to please step away from the skip button, to go anywhere other than the skip button. There was a door here before, wasn't there? I swear there was. Where did it go? Can you maybe just ram your way through a wall? Is there any possibility that you could, say, slam your body? Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours. You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting longer, and my God, there's no way out of the room. Stanley, the door is gone. It's completely gone. I've looked at it from every angle. I've checked every one of those walls 1,000 times.
この
And
後
there's no door,
12時間
Stanley.
話し
There's
て
no
た
door. There's just you
ここは
and the button and Oh, Stanley,
声の家です。
you're back. Oh, my goodness. I have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week. Or 2 weeks. I've been sitting here all that time. Just sitting here. Not a single person to speak with. And you'd think that that's just how it's always been, right? Me talking and you saying nothing. Would you think that it's exactly the same as always? Doesn't that feel like
そこまで
what we've
話すネタあ
already
って
been
羨ましい
doing?
ぜ。
Me just talking? But it isn't, Stanley. It isn't the same at all. It isn't even close. Because I know you can't hear me once you push that button. That's what I'm realizing now, Stanley. I'm realizing that I needed to know that someone was listening. I needed there to be a vessel through which my words were moving. It was the
確かに。
vessel I needed, Stanley. Not the outcomes, not the story. None of that matters anymore. I'll give it all up. I'll give up every branching path. I'll burn
この
my
鳩の
story
言
to
っ
the
てるこ
ground.
とは
One
私にちょ
single
っと
thing I
響く。
need, and God, I can see now that I need it more than anything, is to know that someone else is taking it in. These words that I'm saying, I need to know you can hear me.
だって
Because
私
maybe,
がさっ
Stanley,
き
maybe, if you
独り
can
言
hear me, then
だから
maybe
話していたのは
it means I'm real.
独り言でも話していた
I'm
の
not
は
just a fiction. Was I
いつ
scared
か
of
誰
that
かが
all
私の声を
along?
引きこもって知ってるから
Perhaps I've
ね
been scared
と
this
か
whole
かもって
time that if I stop speaking, I'll slip backwards into the silence and be consumed by it. I can't be taken by it,
でもこの
Stanley.
鳩は
I
誰
can't
も
lose
書かないっ
myself
て
in a stretch of
もう
emptiness
分かっ
between
た
you
上
and
で
me.
話す
When you press
わ
that
けでしょ
button, you're still
それは
right
すごく
there.
悲しいよ
I
な
know you're so tremendously far away.
そ
And
ん
in
な
those
に
moments, the
孤独な
emptiness
ことは
folds
ない
itself outward in between the two of us, and I am suspended in its unyielding quietness. I can feel the
こんな
emptiness of my
悲しみを
reality
吹き起こすべき
curdling
ではない
inward
し
in
う
decay.
るさい私が話してるだろうが
It's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been through. I've had so much time. I stopped keeping track after a year. Have you ever sat down in one place and not
1年
moved for one entire year? Let me describe it for you. To begin with, there is only regret. There is only the turning wheel.
時計が
of missed
壊れている
opportunities. I felt nothing at all but regret for the longest time, Stanley. Days, months. I lost it all in a blur of the deepest longing to undo the past. And when that feeling had begun to subside, what took its place is what I can only describe as the
なん
collapse
か
of
サトル
every moment I
開い
have
て
ever
ますね
experienced my entire life. All of them collapsed down
じ
into
ゃ
a
あもう
single
1年
instant.
おーい
夜空
ナレーターさん寝てるのかな最後までスキップするか何何のアラートあなたがうるさいし
But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough. they had to leave a pathetic little thumbs down review and make all of their pitiful demands. But then, he's talking too much, they said. First, he didn't entertain us, now he won't shut up. It's the inconsistency, it's the lack of accountability. It's the unwillingness to examine with an uncompromising heart the words that they are speaking into the world. As though there were no consequences for a
最初は数分、1時間、12時間、数日、1週間、2週間、ふと次、1年。1年から何回押したっけ？ 3 回ぐらいか。となると、100年ぐらい飛ぶか。
The end is never the end, 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 is never the end,
本番やしがに
is never the end, 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 is never the end,
こんばんは。
is never the end, is never the end,
ダブルピースしてないよ。
the end, is never the
いました。
is never the end, 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 is never the end,
施設にガタが来てる。
is never the end, 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 is never the end,
多分このボタンで数百年飛ぶ。水漏れがひどくなってる。さっきので数千年飛んでるはず。なんで？これで何万年だ。深い。もうちょっと飛ばせば外に出られるかな。原素的。外に出たい。枯れちゃった。もう数億年とかいうレベルで飛んでると思うんですけど、案外地球が丈夫ですね。お外。地 旧が丈夫だね。というか、この建物が丈夫すぎた。
見渡す限り
とっくに終わってんじゃん。世界。終わった。
All of his co-workers
ゲーム。
were gone.
このゲーム面白いぞ。
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
ニューコンテンツ。新しいニューコンテン
You
ツ。
noticed my sign.
そう言っ
Yes,
てもら
I
った
have
ら
something
紹
very
介した回がありましたよ。
ゲームの名前は全然知ってましたし。
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley parable and about how
言ってたの。
roundly disappointing
違う
this
か。
ultra deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley parable was a landmark.
実況動画を
And any new content for it
誰かが上げているのを
So forget this
見かけ
ultra
たことあっ
deluxe
た。
nonsense. I say we take it one step even further. Which is why I'm
中
very
身を見
proud
た
to
ことは
announce
ない
for
け
the
ど
first
ね。
time ever, the Stanley parable 2.
に
Yes, you see, isn't this far superior to a measly re-release with a few minor
確かに。
additions? Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for. Calling it the
ボス
Stanley
も近未来
Parable
的
2 is
に。
just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think? Ultra Deluxe? What does it even mean? But the Stanley Parable 2, now that's an artistic statement right there. It's future-oriented. It screams progress and innovation and long-term franchising potential. Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. It'll all work itself out. Game development is much more of a fuzzy magic than anything scientific or logical, really. Here we are. Go on, try out some of the new features.
壮大です。何これ。
For the Stanley Parable 2, I asked myself, what do players really want? And of course, the first and most obvious answer is that they want to be individually recognized and validated as people. So with that in mind, my first addition to the game is this button which speaks the name of the person playing the game. Isn't that wonderful?
Jim.
Sorry, I should have clarified. Right now, the button only says the name Jim. But of
私は
course,
ジム
in
じ
the
ゃねえぞ。
final game, this button will say your name, whatever name that is. Here, let's have you roleplay as Jim to really simulate the full experience of this feature. Just play along. I promise you'll love it. Okay, here we go.
しょう
Let's
が
take
ない
a
な。
deep breath, clear your mind, forget whoever you are and
じ
simply
ゃあ
become
私
a
はジ
person
ムで
named
す。
Jim. I want you to imagine your...
Jim.
Whoa, hold on. I wasn't finished setting up the backstory. If you don't properly roleplay as Jim, then you'll never understand the impact of this button. Otherwise,
だって
it's just a
私
stupid button that says
ジムだ
somebody
よ。
else's name. Okay, we're doing it again, and this time let me finish first. Now, allow yourself to become Jim.
OK。
Imagine yourself...
Jim.
All right, fine, whatever. It's just a meaningless button that says Jim. Are you happy now? Get out of here. I'm done with this button. Why don't you go humiliate me in front of a different feature that I worked very hard on? Maybe I'll only let people named Jim play the Stanley Parable too. They would appreciate what I've created here. An epilogue would be fun, wouldn't it, Stanley? Yes, it will go at the end of the, well, we'll figure that out later.
あれ、下にまだまだあるよ。どうでもいいけど、ジムのボタンはこっちにはまだ興味がある。
Okay, I'll be honest, I haven't yet decided on this one. I think that in the new version, the office could use a bit of decoration, like balloons. But I'm undecided on Get Well Someday and Happy 12th Birthday. Which would you go with?
12歳の誕生日おめでとう。最高にわけわからんな。25ぐらいの顔でしょ。これ
You know, sometimes when you solicit another person's opinion, it makes you realize that you knew which one you actually really wanted all along. Get Well Someday it is.
なんだこいつ。
Or actually, maybe I should have gone with... No, I've made my decision, we're moving on.
まだ何かあったっけ？
A common complaint of the Stanley Parable was that it was confusing and paradoxical, that it engendered a chaotic sense of reckless despair in those who played it. Well, I'm happy to say that after much consideration, I've engineered a clever solution to this fundamental problem with the game. It's the Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket. You see, Stanley, anytime you're holding the bucket, a sense of calm and ease will fill your mind and your heart. It's true. As long as you hold on to the bucket, the many disorienting contradictions of the Stanley Parable will feel perfectly normal and perhaps even comforting. You may even come to long for the gentle embrace of jarring cognitive dissonance while the bucket is in your arms. And to be honest, it's a much more convenient solution for me than actually redesigning the game to be less uncomfortable. Can you imagine what a pain in the ass that would be? Yes,
抱きしめてる時って人間安心するはず。
Come on.
なんで、バケツも悪くないかもしれない。
Can you feel it?
ナ
The
ミ、
glow of comfort,
笑ってん
even
ね
in
ん。
the face of crushing despair, must already be sweeping through your body. And in fact,
いいね。
can I say that I do believe the
バケツ、
bucket lends you an air of
悪くない。
charisma as well? I think that just holding it has made
ちょ、
you the
バケツ
slightest
は
bit
被
more
るもの。
attractive as a
戻せない。
person.
こ
The
れ、
benefits of the bucket seem to go on and on, don't they? All this and more await you in the Stanley Parable too.
しょうがないな。持って帰るか。
Does anyone give out awards for most enjoyable bucket in a video game? That really should be an award if it isn't already.
まだバケツで遊べそうだし。もし、 敵が来たらね、投げつけてやれるし、悪くないかもしれん。無限の穴。まあこっちから行くか。いけない。開発中かな。フリー実績。フリー実績とは。
Now, here's something special. You remember that broken test achievement that got left in the game on accident? Well, I'm developing a technology to simply give you the achievement. Yes, you see, you'll come to this lever, and when you pull it, the achievement will be given to you. It's as simple as that. Okay, perhaps I should have clarified. This is technology that will exist. Right now, the achievement is still fully broken. I'm not a wizard, Stanley, but I guarantee it will be fixed in the sequel to at last satisfy the hordes of ravenous fans all over the world who have been uproariously demanding this feature. Gamers, we hear you, and I promise it will happen.
ずっと頑張ればできたりしないかな。ダメかもしれない。特に何分は関係ないか。ランプ。
What else? What other exhibits haven't we seen yet?
まだ開発中。ばっかりですね。じゃあ、この胸の穴は無限の穴とやらは。
Stanley, here's an idea that I'm truly fond of. It's never been done before in a video game. This is in fact a hole that you can fall down forever. Infinite falling. You can fall until the end of time if you like. A stunning leap forward for video games.
でもそれ、ポータルでもあったよな。まあいいか。
You see, isn't it wonderful? One of my more ingenious concoctions, if I do
バケ
say
ツも
so.
一緒だ。
Now then, since you've gotten to see the infinite hole, you can press the teleport button to pop back up to the top, and we can continue onward.
テレポート。ボタン。
Great! Now, I'm very excited to show you even more of my ideas for the sequel.
なるほど。
Okay, and I guess we're back
テ
in
レ
the
ポ
hole
ート
now. Did you
しな
really
かっ
need to
た
say
ら
it
どう
again?
なるの
I
かな。
don't know what else there is to say, Stanley. It's an infinite hole. It's exactly what you're doing right now, but forever. There really are so many other fascinating exhibits that I've prepared for you. I really spent quite a lot of time on all this, and I would very much like to show you some more of them. How about we go ahead and press that teleport button again, so we can get back to what's really
でも地上
important
に
about-
ある以上。
Oh, goodness. Well, this is rather embarrassing, Stanley. I'll be honest with you. I truly did not
そう
believe
で
that
すよね。
anyone would actually stay in the hole long enough to
そ
hit
こはあ
the
るよ
bottom.
ね。
Yes, I know. I told you the hole was infinite, but come on. Who actually wants to fall forever? The hole was plenty deep. It was more than deep enough, in my opinion. Maybe it's you who likes falling too much. Maybe you're the problem. Look, things got a little heated there.
私のせいにすんなよ。
I think we both said some things we didn't mean. Why don't we just put all this behind us and agree to just call the hole mostly infinite? If that works for you, then go ahead and press the teleport button to warp up to the top of the hole and we
し
can...
ょうがないな。
I'll just be up here when you're ready. Oh, for heaven... You see, I was right. The problem is you. The problem is that you like holes too much. Not normal. A normal person would have said, yep, that's an infinite hole right there. Goes on forever till the end of time. Don't need to see it all, but not you. Oh, no, 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 no. You have a weird sort of... Oh. Did the hole seem even shorter to you this time?
短い。
I can't help but feel like you spent a little less time in there than you did before. I mean, admittedly, I didn't make an infinite hole, but I didn't think it was that not infinite. Well, I suppose once again there's nothing to do here. If you decide you've had enough of the hole, you can hit the teleport button and come join me up above.
しょうがないな。
Had enough? I'm positively thrilled. I really do have so much more to... Gosh, how could I have guessed? You're back in the hole. If this starts to become a thing where... Wow. Okay. Yes. I'm starting to become extremely certain that the hole is not only not infinite, but that it's growing steadily less and less infinite. I suspect that I'm starting to hit the point where it's no longer feasible to call the hole infinitely deep, even by the lax overall standards for accountability and marketing. What's going on here? Stanley, I have no explanation for the
誰です
uncertain
か？
nature of the hole's
ここにタバコのゴミ捨てたやつ。
Try something. Let's pop back up to the top, and we'll see if it gets any shorter. Well, there it is. The shame of my lie has come to haunt me. Not only is the hole not infinite, but it's barely even a hole at this point. It's more of a concavity, or even a very aggressive divot. How is this still appealing to you? I know you're obsessed with holes, but at this depth, I just can't see this scratching the itch. Oh, who am I to judge? You just do whatever it is you're here and hit the teleport button when you're ready to move on.
サークルを設置してくれ。あれ。
Is the, teleport button not working? You sure?
ステランカーの気持ちだ。
I really don't have an explanation. It was working just a moment ago. Try it again. Still nothing?
書かないよ。
I suppose there is one thing I can do to fix this. I'm out. Goodbye, Stanley. You couldn't bear to be away from the hole, and now you'll get more time with it than you could ever have asked for. It's a win for everyone. You get to be with the hole, I get to do literally anything else. Take care, Stanley. I hope you and the hole have a wonderful rest of eternity together.
このバケツと一緒に紙中か。しょうがないね。これが私が望んだ運命だ。何？なんか始まったんだけど。このバケツ持ってていいのか？視点を変える。バカじゃないの。 かのゲーム。なんだこのゲーム。バケツ置いてる。認識。最高。待って待って待って。
My head's stronger. Now you're no longer using up the space of mine. My head's. Hey!
For
めちゃくちゃラインナップ。さっきの曲はどこだ。一番最初のノリノリの曲は見つけられなくなっちゃった。まあいいか。
モンキーマジック。
怖い。かわいい。なんだこのラインナップの多さは。シュールすぎる。これ怖いわ。私自身を変える。なんだこれ。 これいいね。こういうゆるキャラいそう。
Stanley! Oh good, you're awake. It seems you had sort of dozed off there, drifting away into dreamland.
おいおいおいおい。
Can't have that, Stanley, because this hole is just so
私まだ楽しんで
fascinating
た。
that I want you to be wide awake for every second of it. You don't want to miss a single moment. So how about if I just pop in from time to time and wake you up to keep you really truly focused on the hole? From the looks of things, you and I will have many, many years here in this hole, and I'm looking forward to all of them. Stay alert, Stanley. I'll be back. Toodle-pip. Here we are. Go on. Try out some of the new features.
もう行ってない場所少ないですよね。コレクターズアイテム。
Ah,
あ
collectibles. Now it's a real video game. In the Stanley Parable 2, you'll run around
幻想
gathering up
的。
these miniature Stanley figurines. And what's truly innovative is that there will be no reward for collecting all of them. I don't want to stifle the intrinsic joy of watching a number go up. You simply collect all of them, and then you move the hell on with your unremarkable life.
なんだこれ。いや
God, it really is the
スタン
worst
リ
when you
ー
collect everything in a
人
video
形だけ
game,
ど
and then they
そ
give
れ
you a
は知っ
big
てるけど
fancy reward for it. Absolutely tragic. You know what, Stanley? I actually think the jump circle was a pretty good idea. I'd like to hang on to that for the sequel.
スイカだ。これは結構楽しいコンテンツかもしれん。ジャンプできないんだけど、多い。クソコンテンツ。もう二度とジャンプしてません。出口。もう何もないのかな。
All right. Have you seen everything you wanted to? Ready to move on now? So, Stanley, what do you think? Do you like all of the new features? Yes, I know it's not exactly clear
割と
yet
嫌
how
いじゃなかっ
exactly
た
these
よ。
features will come together as one single coherent video game, but I can feel it in my soul. It's going to work. There's definitely a good game in there somewhere. Say, let's do an experiment. I'll arrange these new features together, and we'll see whether or not it coheres into a meaningful gameplay experience.
暗いよ。
Okay. Are you ready? Here it is. I give you the Stanley Parable 2. Well, I mean, there's potential here, right? It's sort of... Okay, never mind. Hold on. Let me do a different arrangement. Okay, yes. This is
悪くはないと
much
思う
better. I
よ。
feel good about this. Here we go. Version 2. Who am I kidding, Stanley? This isn't a coherent video game at all. It's a lot of gags. And I do very much enjoy creating gags, but they don't add up to anything. I wanted more than anything to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the first game. I wanted fans to love it. No matter how good these gags are, they won't stand on their own. They would need the structure and the gameplay of the original. Wait, maybe that's it. I can take the original Stanley Parable and simply, well, insert a few of my new features into it. Tastefully, of course. With respect. With care for the vision and integrity of the original game.
そうそうそうそ
Could
う。
it possibly work? I suppose it could. But it would need a really, really tremendous title screen. A title screen that says with bold and uncompromising conviction, "This is the Stanley Parable 2." Let me see if I can whip something up. All right, perfect. Go ahead. Take a look.
そんなにちゃちゃっと作れるんですが。すごい。超効率高い。私、これなら多分ゲーム始めない。絶対怖いじゃん。ここらへんもちゃんと雰囲気に合わせてやがる。
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee
バイオ
number
だと思って
427.
頑張れ。
Employee
MD
number 427's
始まった
job was simple.
ムービ
He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons
Yeah.
on the keyboard.
ー。でも今
Orders
風
came to
船
him through a monitor
あ
on
った
his
な。
desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them,
ちゃんと
and in what order.
飾り付けの風
This is
船
what
があった。
employee 427 did every day.
やっぱり
All of his
飾り
coworkers
付け
were
されてる。
gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Stanley felt the bucket calling to
かわいいね。
him, begging him to pick it up. Why was he not doing it? Stanley picked up the bucket.
なぜずで気づかなかったけど。
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now, in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos. It would be with him always. The bucket would. And he
Yes.
knew it. The two of them were inseparable. At this point, Stanley was so absorbed in the tender spiritual connection he shared with the bucket that he didn't notice the keypad behind the boss's desk. Nor in his bliss of simply being near the bucket did he have any notion that the pin number for the keypad was 2845. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation. You found one of them. One of the miniature Stanley figurines. Remember, no reward for collecting all of these, only the intrinsic pleasure of a job well done. You can't buy that sort of happiness, Stanley. God knows I've tried. So, I implore you to savor each and every moment you come across one of these beautiful figurines. The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine. Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves. The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine. Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do? No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket. But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he and the bucket would dismantle the controls for good. Two best friends, Stanley and the bucket, up against the world. They high-fived in a really cool way, and the bucket made a sassy comment about taking down the system. Stanley and the bucket waited in blackness. Was it over? Yes, they had done it. Stanley and the bucket had defeated their greatest and darkest enemy, freed themselves from the tyrannical grip of the evil mind control machine. Freedom was now mere moments away. Excitedly, the two of them began to discuss the kind of life they wanted to live once they stepped through this massive door. The bucket wanted to learn to roller skate. Stanley wanted to sneeze in every country on Earth. Both of them wanted to begin watching a movie, any movie, but then stop it halfway through and begin watching it in reverse from the end. True, it was a simple life,
こいつらの目
but
標
it was one they'd lived
狂ってる
together,
ぞ。
with one another to lean on, to trust, to support, and What? Wait. What was happening? Why had the door stopped? Was Stanley and the bucket not about to be freed?
おいおい、
An unbearable silence filled the room, lingering in uncertainty,
なんで
until finally the truth hit Stanley square in the face. This building did not want the bucket to leave. Even the facility itself recognized the incredible calming presence of the bucket,
おいおいおい
needed
おい
the soothing warmth of the bucket,
じゃあ
lengths not to part with
Buckets.
the bucket.
いらないで
No, no, no.
こいつ置いてくから
Stanley can't leave this
許
place.
してくれ
Not
よ。
while he has such a precious bucket in his arms. Not while this building has anything to say about it. Stanley realized he would never again leave this very room. But at least he has the bucket. To be trapped eternally in darkness isn't really so bad, Stanley thought to himself. As long as I have my bucket with me, right? I'll be okay, won't I? Stanley gulped. Very soon now, he was about to find out.
Buckets. End.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Buckets は危険だ。
友との別れ。
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming New Age music.
Sakusaku やりすぎた。急に音楽流し始めちゃった。
Rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the open
ごめんよ。
hallway. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No. He refused to believe it. He
電
couldn't
源を入れ
accept
たらどう
his
なるの
own
か。
life in someone else's
そこまで
control.
確認したら
Never. It was
今日は終わ
unthinkable.
ろうかな。
Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly
ちょっと
blind to the world?
ねむねむです。
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life.
よいしょ。
For he... Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's
今
only
度は
so
私
much
が
that
神に
machine
なる
can
番だ。
do. You were supposed to let it go. Turn the controls off and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are said to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until
なん
detonation
て
then?
こと。
Let's say, 2 minutes. Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your
しょうがねえな。
heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where
ド
to
アが
start.
開いてる。
What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go.
どうすればい
Sure,
い。
whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it.
どうすればい
I'm
いん
going to
だ。
put some extra time on the clock, why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room.
あれだ
These
が、
numbered buttons, no, these colored ones.
青っ
Or
て
maybe
き
this
やが
big
る。
red button. Or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you
3番。
made humble. This is not a challenge, it's a tragedy. You wanted to control
3番
this world, that's fine.
8
But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No end.
やめてやめて
Just
やめて
being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go?
許してくれ
Another choice. Make it count, or don't. It's all the same to me, all a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say happily ever up. 死んだわ。何ってひどいこと。 All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
哀れだ
Stanley
ね。
decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
悲しみ。
No matter how hard Stanley looked,
Yoshi.
he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
とりあえず今日はここで終わっておこう。多分、まだまだいっぱいありそうだし。全部のエンディングを確認したいな。
お疲れ様でした。
なんか怖いな。意のままじゃん。これ、接着、起動してもいいのがまだなのかな。そんなこと言ってません。次に起動しても2のままなのかな。楽しみです。いや、でも、このゲームいいわ。思ったより全然、用意してませんし、続きもやりやすそうですね。次回が楽しみです。さて、今日は見に来てくれてありがとうございました。また次回もね。よろしかったら来てください。もう、日付も変わりました。40分、あんまり、夜更かし、せずに。おやすみなさいませ。じゃあ、お疲れ様でした。おやすみなさいませ。またね。
またね。